Hey everybody, I'm Joey, and as you can see, it's a beautiful day outside. What's my favorite thing to do on beautiful days? Drink and grill. What am I grilling? Well, today it's chicken wings. Look, wings don't have to be fried to be tasty. We've shown you how to bake them, and we've done a lot of experiments right here on the trusty old Weber kettle that will show you how to turn out tasty, crispy chicken wings right in your own backyard. Stick around, we'll show you a couple of different experiments we've run and how you can turn up the tasty right at home. Okay, so we're back today with another crispy grilled chicken wing experiment. We've done a couple of these already, and so we're really building upon our findings. One of the things that we learned in our last video was that our crispiest wings came from a dry rub mixture that included 2 parts seasoning to 1 part baking powder. And so that's what we're gonna do here. That's gonna be our control group. We've already mixed it up right here in this bowl, but today, instead of using JoJo Rub, we're going to use Rescue Rub by Code 3 Spices. You can find all their spices online at code3barbecuesupply.com. They're great friends of ours, and they make a great product. So we're gonna use it here today. Over here, we're going to mix butter with the same amount of seasoning. So over here we have 1 tablespoon of Rescue Rub to a 1/2 tablespoon of baking powder. We're going to follow with a tablespoon of rub here, and we're also going to use a tablespoon of rub for this batch over here, but instead of butter, we're going to be using olive oil. The reason we're using olive oil and butter mainly is to try different smoke points to see if that has any impact on the crispiness of the wings. This will essentially be our control group. So I'm going to go ahead and get these seasoned. Sorry, I have something crawling on my leg. All right, over here, these wings are nicely coated with 1 tablespoon of olive oil. Just to be clear, that is not extra virgin olive oil, which has a lower smoke point than standard olive oil. So just wanted to clear that up. Next, we're gonna add 1 tablespoon of this Rescue Rub. All right, next up we have our wings, which we covered with butter. I used actually about 2 tablespoons of butter on this because once I started to pour it in, the wings were cold and the butter began to coagulate. So I added a little bit more butter here just to make sure they were thoroughly coated. Now let's go with the Rescue Rub. Again, 1 tablespoon. Okay, and next up right over here we have our control group. These are totally dry wings. We're just gonna add our mixture of baking powder and Rescue Rub. Okay, this baking powder right here really lightens up the color of the rub a little bit so they don't look thoroughly coated, but I've stirred them, and now let's get them on the grill. All right, we got this grill going nice and hot, so now it's time to get the wings on, starting with our control group right over here again. That's the seasoning with the baking powder. Okay, next up, it's time for the group with olive oil and seasoning, and boy, do those look pretty. Take a look at that. I'm gonna go ahead and put them over here. I'm gonna run them a different way so I remember how I put them down on the grill. Okay, and finally we have our group with the butter. You can see that butter is still coagulating a little bit. I want to be honest with you guys about what we're seeing here, so we'll just have to see how it turns out. I mean, some of the wings, like this part right here, don't look like they have a lot of seasoning on them, but it seems like we have more seasoning in the bowl, but let's give this a shot. All right, so now that we have them on the grill, our traditional look about how we expect them to look Our ones with olive oil look really pretty already. And the ones with butter, well, again, It seems like we have some missing spots because of how that butter coagulated, but we'll check back in about 30 to 45 minutes and test the results. All right, guys, I know I said I'd be back at the end of the cook, but I thought we'd do about a 20-minute check-in just to see how they look. And you can see there's really very little distinction in the color. We can see some, I guess I'll call it a naked spot right here from the way that butter coagulated, but they're all looking really good. We're gonna get this back on, let them finish out the cook until they get nice and crispy. All right, everybody, so we've already pulled the wings off the grill. They're sitting on the table waiting for the taste test, and I cannot wait. But before we dig in, I just wanted to tell you a little bit more about our grill setup here. Inside the grill, you'll see we have a piece of equipment. It's called the Vortex. And what this does is it helps get the grill nice and hot. It's not a necessary piece of equipment, but it does help turn up the temperature on your Weber kettle as those wings cook. And what it does is it really allows your kettle to act more like an air fryer. As it brings the heat up around the dome and circulates it across the food. But there's one key distinction between an air fryer and this, and that's that awesome smoky flavor. So I just wanted everyone at home to know exactly the type of setup we were using, so if you wanted to, you could recreate this experiment right in your own backyard. Now, it's time to eat some wings. All right, so these wings are done cooking. They took about 45 minutes and 3 beers to get done. While those were cooking, we actually started up our charcoal chimney right back there and cook a steak directly over it. We're gonna share that in another video. But here we have our finished product, and they're lined up in the exact same order that they were prior to cooking. Namely, we have our olive oil over here, we have our butter here, and we have our seasoning with baking powder right over here. So it's time for my favorite part. Let's dig in and see which method created the crispiest wings. Now, we've had this. This is really our control. So we kind of know what to expect here. We know we're gonna get a crispy wing, but let's dig right in. Oh, you can hear the crispiness as it pulls apart. This is just a great wing. I don't know if my microphone just picked that up, but you can really hear that crispy crunchiness of that skin as I bite right through it. It's a great wing. Could eat these all day long. Next up, we're gonna come right over here. These are our wings, which were covered with butter and then seasoning. Let's see how they taste. Oh wow, they sound crispy for sure. Look at that color. It has that golden brown color that you see with roasted chicken when you put it in the oven. Let's see how it tastes. Wow, that's a crispy wing. Again, I don't know if the mic just picked that up, but you can really taste that crunch as you bite through that skin. I would say it's just as crispy, maybe even crispier than our control group. And we know that this wing beat out other wings when it comes to crispy grilled chicken wings. Other recipes, those are available on our channel if you want to check those out. But I have to say, I'm really surprised by this butter. Candidly, going into it, I thought it would probably be the worst. I think that there are some advantages and disadvantages I see right away. First of all, I have had people say to me that they have a sensitivity to the taste of baking powder. Personally, I don't. I don't notice any difference when it's in there. So that could be one reason why you'd want to go with the butter. The downside to the butter, I think, is that it coagulates and made it harder to season, as we showed you in the beginning of the video. But now, let's dig into these ones that are covered in olive oil. Well, they don't sound as crispy, just breaking them apart, but let's see how they taste. It's a crispy wing. It's a good wing. It's a very good wing. If I had to make one observation about this, it's almost like the skin itself tasted a little thinner than the skin did on the other two, but that didn't result in additional crispiness. So I think if I were gonna make these again, I would not go with the olive oil. Again, it was a good wing, but not the crispiest of these wings. I will be trying this butter recipe again though. This is absolutely phenomenal. I had never tried butter or olive oil prior to this experiment, so I'm really surprised. The reason that I chose the different oils is because of the various smoke points. Butter has a very low smoke point, where olive oil has a higher smoke point. So look, I'm not a scientist, I just know what tastes good, and these ones covered in butter really, really knocked my socks off. Salud. All right, I can see you're done with the first video. I hope you liked it. Have you ever made crispy chicken wings right at home? What techniques have you used? What would you do different? Let me know in the comments below, and stick around, there's a couple more videos. Making crispy chicken wings is really easy if you want to fry them, but why fry them when grilling them adds so much more flavor? Look, we've already done a video that shows you how to grill really crispy chicken wings, but today we're going to try a couple different recipes, and then my favorite part, test the results. Now, the first thing that you're going to need is a cheap domestic beer. You won't actually need it for cooking, but nothing goes better with grilling than cheap domestic beer. So that's what we have right here. Second, we have chicken wings, as you can see. I'll start over here actually. This is going to be our control group. This is just going to be the way that we made them in our last grilled video. We're going to season them with JoJo rub. JoJo rub is a simple rub we created using common ingredients found in most kitchens, probably yours too. So over here, we're only going to season these with JoJo rub. That's it. Over here, we have a 50-50 mixture of cornstarch and flour. 2 tablespoons flour, 2 tablespoons cornstarch, and then we'll add a tablespoon of JoJo rub. We want to keep the seasoning the same across all the recipes so that way different flavors don't impact the final result. What we're really checking to see is which of these makes the crispiest grilled wings. And with these over here, we're going to season them the same way that we did in our crispy baked chicken wings video, using 2 parts of JoJo rub to 1 part of baking powder. I'm really excited to see how these different techniques are going to impact that final crispiness of the chicken. Now, before I get started, I just need to add the JoJo rub to this flour cornmeal mixture right here. All right, now that we have these fully seasoned, let's go ahead and get them on that grill. Follow me. All right, guys, this fire is nice and hot. Let's go ahead and get these wings on. The first thing I want to mention is in my last crispy grilled chicken wings video, I went low and slow. Cooked these for about 75 to 90 minutes. Today, we're going real hot with this, and how we're going to achieve that is with this vortex. Basically, we get all the jumbo lump charcoal in here, light it, and it gets this pit so hot, hotter than it would be if I just poured the coals in there. So that's important. I have both the bottom vent here and the top vent. They're gonna be wide open. So really what we wanna do is get this pit to about 500 degrees as it cooks. Here we have our control group. These are just wings with only JoJo rub on them, and we're gonna get them right over here. You can hear that pit is nice and hot, even though this grate is not over direct heat. It's just how hot this pit gets when you have the lid on using that vortex. All right, they're a little bit close together, so just so I don't get our control group confused with our other batch over here, they look very similar in color, so I'm just gonna go ahead and move it over here. So there's a clean line of distinction, and I'll be able to remember when I pull them off the grill. Speaking of pulling them off the grill, the first thing I'm gonna do is get this lid back on, and then we'll be back and we're gonna flip these every 10 minutes. I think the cook is gonna take about 40, 45 minutes, all just depending upon how hot the fire stays throughout the cook. Look, if you need to get the temperature on your Weber up a little bit more into that 500 degree range, very easy trick you can do with this vortex is just go ahead and crack this side just a little bit. The more oxygen that gets in there, the hotter the fire will be. And this vortex is gonna push the heat up, circulate it around the exterior of the grill, and this thing is really going to act like an air fryer, which are so popular, but the one thing that you get here that you don't get with an air fryer is that awesome smoky flavor from the grill. So again, I'm gonna go grab a beer. I'll be back in 10 minutes. All right, guys, these have been cooking on here for 45 minutes. I flip them every 10 minutes, except for the last time I let them go for 15. Let's see how they look. First of all, this vortex gets the pit very hot. Even sometimes the handle can get a little hot. So I'm gonna use my grill glove right here, take off the top, make sure I don't burn myself. Let's see how they're looking. Now, one way that I can check the crispiness of these wings is by taking the end of my instant read thermometer and just dragging it across the skin. Okay. Here, a little bit of crisp. I mean, some of the things I notice here are both our control group and that with baking powder have a very similar look. If I had to say, the control group might be a little bit darker. Our breaded wings over here with the flour and cornmeal, you can still see some of that white residual. They're a little bit lighter color, but I still think these wings are gonna need about another 10 minutes based upon that test. So I'm gonna flip them, get the lid back on, and be right back. Okay, so we're about ready to dig in and try the test. But before I do, I just wanna talk a little bit about the coloring and the look of each one of these. These are our control group right over here, and they look absolutely phenomenal. They have a great dark, almost like a mahogany color. I can't wait to dig in. I actually had these before, so I know how good they taste, because this is how I typically make them at home, but I've never tried these other two ways. So over here we have our 50-50 mix, and the first thing I want to bring to your attention is that they look phenomenal. They have a great color, very, looks a lot like fried chicken would look. The only thing is I just want to bring your attention to here, we still have a little bit of white from either that flour or that cornmeal. And now it's not on all the wings, so you can see this one does not have it. This one does, as does this just a little bit here, so it'll be interesting to see how that impacts the flavor. Now right over here we have our baking powder mixed with our JoJo rub, and these, you know, they feel a lot crispier now than they did when they came off the grill. As you can see, they have a very similar color to our control group, maybe just a little bit lighter, but enough about the look. They certainly all smell tremendous. Let's dig in and see how they taste. Good. Not that crispy. You can see the skin pulled away. It's a good wing. It's not a great wing, not my best. Maybe on something like this, I should let them go for up to an hour. Not a bad wing though. I'd be happy to be served that any day of the week. Over here, this is our 50-50 mixture of flour and cornstarch. And again, look at that color. That looks incredible. Let's see how they taste. That was a crispier wing. You don't get as much direct seasoning as you do with the control group. I think the flour and the cornstarch help kind of dilute some of that flavor. If I did this again, maybe I'd add just a little bit more JoJo rub to it. It's definitely crispier than our control group, and it does have a little bit of that KFC type fried chicken flavor. Now, let's check out our final group. This is the exact same recipe that we use to make crispy baked chicken wings, only we did it in the oven. Let's see how it turns out when you cook them on the grill. Boy, those sound a lot crispier. It's a great wing. It tastes very similar to the first one, but this one is actually much crispier. As we know, that baking powder can change the pH balance of the skin, making it crisp up as it cooks. Well, I've tried the drummies on all of these, so now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna try this flat. See how that goes. First of all, let's get one of those pesky bones out of there. Now. It was a big bite. It was good. Again, very crispy. This one, going back to these tend to have just a little bit more texture to them. I'm gonna try this flat here just for, posterity. See how it turns out. Now that skin right there had a great crunch. Wow, guys, this is gonna be real tough to pick a winner. I think this had more direct flavor from the JoJo rub, but it's clear to me that both of these two were crispier than this one. I think this one could have used a little bit more flavoring, but I would do this one again any day. It's hard to pick. These are coming in very, very similar to me. So whether you use baking powder or that other mixture that we talked about, I still think you're gonna come out better than you would just straight seasoning. Yeah, this is really tough. It's much closer than I thought it would be. Candidly, I thought that these ones with the baking powder on them would turn out the crispiest, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Now, we do something a little different with them in the oven where we render the fat. We go low first before we go high heat. And these are really good as well. I want to declare a winner. It's just too close. Yeah, so look, I have a question for you guys at home. How do you cook your wings? We'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Heck, maybe we'll add your idea to our next experiment. Now, it's time for a drink. That's the ticket. Nothing goes better with wings than cheap domestic beer. Look, all kidding aside, we really hope you liked our chicken wing experiment that we did today. Oh my gosh, you guys are still watching? I'm trying to get some rest over here. Stick around for a few more videos. Our chicken wing videos are some of our fan favorites, and we know that you like weird chicken wing facts. So here's a new one. Super Bowl Sunday is a big day for wings. So big that Americans consume enough wings just on Super Bowl Sunday to circle the earth 3 times. Said another way, that's about 4 wings per US citizen on Super Bowl alone. That's a lot of wings. Now, we love our crispy chicken wings, and we've always just removed them from the pack, seasoned them, and gotten them right on the grill. But today, we're gonna try a little experiment to see if any of these different methods results in even crispier wings. So let's talk about that. Right over here, we have let these wings air dry on a rack overnight in the refrigerator, and then we're gonna season them. These right here, we're gonna pat dry with a paper towel. Otherwise, they've come right out of the package. Over here, this will be like our control, if you will. We're not gonna do anything additional to dry them other than season them. So let's get started. So today we're gonna season these with our JoJo rub. This is a simple rub we created ourselves using common ingredients found in most kitchens, probably yours too. We made a little video about it, and you can find that on our YouTube channel. But first of all, let's go ahead and get these dried. Okay, again, I've never tried this at home. This is just a little experiment, but we're gonna go ahead and pick these up, get it right in here in some paper towels, and just pat them dry. We're gonna do that for all 4 wings. I'm gonna go ahead and make sure I'm not putting this down on a wet plate. Seems like that would impact it. So just gonna use this towel to just dry off a little bit of that plate there. And next, we're gonna go ahead and get these seasoned. Now that these are all fully seasoned, it's time to get them on the grill. Follow me. In our other grilled chicken wing video, we used a low heat. That's something we're gonna change here. We're actually going to use a very high heat. And the way we're going to achieve that is by using something called the vortex. It's a little cone-shaped piece of metal that goes in the center of the pit. And we're gonna place the wings around the exterior. The purpose of that vortex is to really bring up that temperature. We wanna see a temperature that's about 500 degrees. So this has been heating now for a few minutes. As we can see, our coals are mostly turning white. It's really hot over the top. So now, let's get these wings on the grill.
We'll keep going down to dusk, 'cause ain't nothing stopping us.
So next thing we're gonna do is we're just gonna close up this lid like this. We're gonna make sure these vents right here are wide open. I also have the vents at the bottom of this wide open. If you have trouble getting your grill to temperature, one little trick you can do when using the vortex is you can leave your lid cracked just a little bit. That will help bring up the temperature. So these wings are gonna take about 30 to 40 minutes to get fully cooked, and we're gonna be flipping them every 10 minutes. So I'm gonna grab a beer now, and Be right back. Okay, so it's been 10 minutes. I got a bottle of cheap domestic beer and a can koozie of one of my least favorite baseball teams, but that doesn't matter. What does matter is that we're making crispy wings. Let's go ahead and give these a flip. One thing I notice is that they all have very similar colors. I'm not really seeing any color differences. Seems like maybe this section of the grill is a little hotter, maybe, just because we're getting those grill marks. So what I'll do is, when I put this lid back on, I'm gonna move the vent to the other side of the grill, try to balance it out. So the neat thing about this vortex is it kicks up the heat up here and it circulates around the exterior of the pit. It really creates a very similar effect to like an air fryer, only it gets that smoky goodness direct from the grill. So we'll be back in another 10 minutes, but while we're waiting on this, I want to take you guys just across that tree line over there so you can see what's on the other side. Follow me. Back on here, just like that. Now, one of the things that I didn't mention earlier is before you cook your food, you want to make sure you have a clean grill grate. Don't use a wire brush. If you're looking for an alternative, we recently published a video on how to clean your grill grate without a wire brush. It's a very important step because if you don't clean it, you'll have last week's food on tonight's meal, and that is no bueno. So make sure you always start with a clean grill grate. I'll be right back. I don't know if you guys can hear that at home, but we can actually hear the fat rendering out of those chicken wings as they cook, hitting the bottom of that hot pit. Don't want to get too close though, it's real hot. We're gonna give these another 10 minutes, I'll be right back. Okay, so these have been cooking for about 45 minutes. It's been about 15 minutes since our last flip. The reason why is because this thing really ate through that charcoal much faster than I expected it to. I can tell just by holding my hand over that it's no longer 500 degrees as it was when we started, but let's see how they sound. Yeah, we'll throw this down here, get that out of the way. So here we have our control group. Here's some of that nice crisp on there. Over here are our pet dry wings. Boy, those have an even better sound to them. And over here we have our dried overnight in the fridge. Let's see how those sound. Oh, those sound great. Well, I think it's time for the moment of truth. Let's see how these things taste. I'm gonna pull them off the grill. All right, starting right here with the control. They look crispy. Let's give it a taste. It's a good wing. Nice crispy wing. You get some of that flavor from the JoJo rub coming right through, and still has a ton of moisture in it. Next up, here is our pat dry group. Let's see how it tastes. That skin pulled away a little bit, didn't bite as cleanly as I expected right there, but actually a little bit chewier than that one. Not quite as crispy, it sounded like it was. It's a great wing, but for the additional work of patting these things dry, I really don't notice much difference against our control group over here, which were not patted dry at all. Let's go over here and try our dried overnight ones. Let's give these a try. Now that sounds much crispier, just tearing the skin away. You can hear that crispiness. Wow. That's just a great wing. Super crispy. I know it's going to take a little extra work to kind of meal plan and put them in the fridge the night before. I know I'm terrible at meal planning, but if you have the time, the winner is clear to me. These ones that were patted dry and sat in the refrigerator overnight. Now, if you don't have the time to make that happen, I would suggest just not patting them dry at all, because these are just as crispy as these right over here. I don't really see any additional difference for the additional work. Now, I had never tried either drying the night before or patting down, so this is all new to me, but I think where I have the time, they're gonna go in the fridge the night before.
Yeah, we know. Chicken is not red meat, but we love this old bird. As a matter of fact, if you take a close look at our logo, you'll see our little friend hiding right in there. Now, chicken is easy to learn to cook because unlike beef, which has literally hundreds of different cuts, chicken only has 4 cuts of meat: the breast, the thigh, the wing, and the leg. Now, some recipes use the necks and the feet and the innards, but no, just yuck. No way. Lucky for you, today we'll be cooking chicken wings, which are so popular, Americans consume 1.25 billion wings on Super Bowl day alone. And the good news is you can make these tasty meat morsels right in your own kitchen. You don't need an industrial fryer, and you don't need to make a big mess in your kitchen because frying is messy. Today we'll be cooking these wings on the grill, and the result will have the crunch and texture of a fried chicken wing. There are 3 parts to any chicken wing. The first is the wing tip, the second is the wing or the wingette, and then over here is the drumette or drummy. You can buy them whole as shown here or cut up into individual pieces. I like to buy them whole because it just makes them a little easier to grill. In order to prepare these, the first thing I do is cut off the wing tip. It's inedible, so there's really no need to keep it on as we cook. That one was a little tough. The next thing I do is I cut away this little flap right here between the drummy and the wingette. It's not a step that you have to take, it's just something I like to do. It's not really any edible meat, and so why keep it on there? So what I'll do is I'll go through this process for all the chicken wings, removing that wing tip. Again, we can't eat it, so why cook it? And then also getting rid of that little cape. Now that the chicken is cut, we're going to go ahead and hit it with some JoJo rub. It's a delicious little rub we made specifically for these wings, which you can find by clicking the link on your screen right now. It's a combination of fine powders. And while you can really season these with whatever you want, whatever you like, do not use any wet rubs or wet marinades. You really want to use fine powders, which will help draw out the moisture from the skin as it cooks, which will promote that tasty, fried, crispy exterior. So we'll go ahead and just really coat these very, very liberally. Again, get lots of it on here because that will help dry that skin out, giving it that nice crunch. It's going to make it taste just like it was fried. Now that these wings are seasoned, let's put them on the grill. Follow me. I use a traditional kettle grill to make these wings. I begin by building a fire right in the center, and I let that get nice and hot. After it's going, I put the lid back on and open the grates about 3/4 of the way. This will allow the fire to cool just a little bit. We don't want to burn the wings, and it also allows the grate itself to get nice and hot. Now that the fire is cooled just a little bit, we want to cook these chicken wings using indirect heat. Let me show you how we do that. We want to arrange these wings in a circle around, but not directly over the heat. There's a lot of fat in chicken skin, and if they are directly over the heat, you risk them burning.
If they burn, you'll not like the texture. So we want to, again, get these wings nice and crispy. Now that you got the wings on, there's not a lot to do from here. Just put the lid on, and there's not a thermometer on here, so I like to try to check the temperature by holding my hand about an inch, inch and a half above the grate. I should be able to hold it there for about 5 seconds. If you can't hold it there for that long, it might be too hot and you need to turn it down. Now that we've checked the temperature, there's not a lot to do from here except flip them every 10 or 15 minutes. So I suggest you grab a beer or 3, go watch the game, grab a cigar, do whatever you like. It's pretty easy from here. I want everyone at home to know it's probably about 110, maybe 120 degrees out here, I don't know, but I'm willing to make this sacrifice for you, the people. I want the people to have access to delicious chicken wings. It's about you, and it's about America. It's about freedom. And maybe I've had too many of these. I'm gonna go ahead and put this down now. These chicken wings have been on for 60 minutes, so it's now time to pull them off. While 60 minutes might seem like a long time, it's just perfect to get these wings nice and crispy. The great thing about chicken wings is they can be a bridesmaid as a party appetizer, or they can be the bride at your next family deal. No matter the crowd, the kids will love them and your guests will ask you where you bought them. Our motto at Red Meat Lover is any cut of meat, any type of heat, which reflects our belief that there are many right ways to cook and prepare meat. We would love your feedback in the comments below or to Joey at redmeatlover.com. If you like our videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel for future updates. And remember, today is a great day to give someone a hug and tell them you love them. Just make sure you know them first, otherwise it could be a little bit weird. We'll see you next time. I can see you guys finish the entire video. Thanks for sticking around. What did you learn? What did you like? What did you not like? What have you tried at home? We'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below. Salud.